Hi, Mr. Coe here again, and our topic for today is solving one-step equations. Our goal for today is to solve one-step equations in one variable. Our California standards that we're covering for today is California Standards 5 and 2. So let's go over our vocabulary. First word, equation. An equation is a math statement that shows that two expressions are equal. And how you normally see an equation is that you'll see it with an equal sign, hence the word equation. Next is the word solution set. And a solution set is a set of all solutions. Alright, our first topic that we're going to work on is solving equations by adding or subtracting. And now you see three major points here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to isolate the variable. In this case it's p. Then we're going to use the inverse operation to isolate that variable. And then we're going to use the property of equality to solve. So I'm going to show you and demonstrate what that means right here. So here I have p plus 3 is equal to 8. I'm going to find my variable. I'm going to isolate this by using the inverse operation of plus 3. The inverse operation just basically means you're going to do something that is undoing an operation. So we're going to undo adding. So to do that, we just subtract 3. However, we can't just subtract 3 here. If we subtract 3 here, we're going to need to subtract 3 on the other side of that 8. So if you want to draw kind of a line, subtract 3 here, then that makes things equal. Because remember, we're talking about an equation. Both sides have to be equal. So now I have p plus 3 minus 3, that's equal to 0. I have left p equals, and 8 minus 3 is equal to 5. And you can do a real quick check here. Put 5 into that, 5 plus 3 should equal to 8. So again, isolate the variable, inverse the operation, and then of course property of equality. And the property of equality is this. If I subtract 3 here, I'm going to need to subtract 3 on the other side of that equal sign. Alright, let's look at this one. I have negative 15 plus n is equal to negative 9. Again, I'm going to do the opposite of negative 15. So I'm going to plus 15 here. I'm isolating the variable here by getting rid of this minus 15. Since I added 15 here, I'm going to use the property of equality, and I'm going to add 15 right here. And again, both sides of that equal sign has an added 15 to it. So here, negative 15 plus 15, those are opposites, they give you 0. The only thing that you have left is you have n. n is equal to negative 9 plus 15. Going back with your integer rules, adding to negative 9 plus 15, remember they're different, so which means you're actually subtracting. You get 6. Take the sign of the larger number, and that's a positive. Alright, now we have subtraction. And again, same exact deal. X minus 7 is equal to 13. We're going to isolate the variable. Here's my variable. To isolate this, we're going to add 7. Now we're going to use the property of equality, add 7 here, and again, minus 7 plus 7, that now gives me x equals 13 plus 7 is 20. And you can always do again a quick check. 20 minus 7 is equal to 13. Alright, let's have a look at this one where you have a negative answer. Again, isolate the variable, p. We're going to isolate it by inverse operation. Plus 6. plus 6. You now have P is equal to negative 5 plus 6. And again, integer rules, positive, negative, you're actually subtracting, which gives you 1. Take the sign to a larger number, that's positive, so now you have positive 1. And again, if you place positive 1 into here, 1 minus 6 is going to give you negative 5. Alright, our second thing that we're going to learn for today is solving equations by multiplying and dividing. And if you notice, same 3 types of steps that you need to take. We're going to isolate the variable, find the inverse operation, and then of course property of equality. So here I have negative 10n is equal to 40. So all I'm going to do here is, first of all, look at the problem. This is negative 10 multiplied to n is equal to 40. So we've already isolated the variable. We've figured out what variable we want, so we want to isolate that. But we're going to do that by taking the inverse operation. So here, we're multiplying by n. We're multiplying by negative 10, so we're going to take negative 10 and divide that. But again, because we're talking about the property of equality, what happens on that one side, you're going to need to also divide on this side. Okay? Because it's multiplying, you divide in both sides by the coefficient. So here, that negative 10 and that negative 10 becomes 1. 1 times n is still just n. That's equal to 40 divided by negative 10. And remember your integer rules. If one's a positive, one's a negative, it gives you a negative 4. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Now again, an equation basically means this side is equal to this side. We just got to figure out what that x is. And that's that whole isolating the variable thing. So here we're going to isolate the variable. And how do we isolate the variable? Right, by taking the inverse operation of that. Again, this is 8 times x. We're going to divide this by 8. Divide this by 8. Remember that equal sign, one side, one side. That's your property of equality. You now have 8. 8 over 8 is equal to 1. 1 times x is equal to x. Here you have 104 divided by 8. And we can go ahead and do that. 8 into 104, that's 1 time. Minus 8, that's 2, bring down to 4, and that's 3. So here you have a negative divided by a positive. Your answer is going to be negative 13. And again, these are multiplication questions, and you're using the inverse operation of division to isolate that variable. Alright, here I have division questions. I know they look like fractions, but remember, v over 8 is the same as v divided by 8. So, we're going to isolate this variable by doing the inverse operation of this. So I'm going to rewrite this, v 8, and we're going to multiply this by 8. And remember, you're taking this because this is a divide by 8. I'm multiplying this by 8, which means I'm going to take this side and I'm going to multiply by 8. And now you're probably wondering, well, if I take 8 times 8, but look at it carefully, you're really not multiplying this denominator by this. You're actually doing that. Because that's a fraction. So now you have this, 8 over 8 is just like what you saw in the other one. That's equal to 1. You now have v left. 2 times 8 is equal to 16. And again, this is a division problem. You multiply to isolate that variable. Notice that the variable is on its own. And then you would multiply this side as well. Alright, same thing here. We're going to rewrite it. And again, you're dividing by 4, so I'm going to multiply this by 4. Don't forget, if you multiply this by 4, please multiply this side by 4. That and that becomes 1. because 4 over 4 is 1. 1 times m allows you to isolate that variable. You now have 13 times 4. One's a negative, one's a positive. Your answer will be negative, and that's going to be 252. So the answer is negative 52.